Live from the Jersey Shore to the world. Get up, get out, do something. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. Take the show wherever you go. Download the free Radio Pup app for your smartphone or tablet. Join the conversation. 732-505-1160. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Listen online at WOBMAM.com.
Hey, welcome back. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. 7:08 Tuesday, August 9th, 66 degrees. Got up to 84 today. WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. News Talk Radio. Streaming live on the Radio Pup app and WOBMAM.com. 732-505-1160 to join the conversation. We are now joined in studio by Erika Stahl. Erika is the Assistant Township Planner here in Toms River. Good morning, Erika. How are you?
Good morning. Good. I'm awake.
You just barely, though. You're looking like the allergies are beating you down or something.
I'm not a morning person.
No,
either,
you're not?
No.
It's those late nights
owl.
partying. Yeah, or
with
maybe,
a 2-year-old.
Yeah, with a 2-year-old on your laptop, catching up on all the emails you didn't catch up on during the day, right?
Exactly.
Okay, Erika. So, township planning. All right. Yes. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about what you do day to day?
Sure. Okay. Well, I have public hours, so anybody that comes in that lives in Toms River and has any zoning questions, I'm one of the zoning officials. So they'll see me during the midday answering their questions in regards to where they can place their house or their shed or fence, any of those questions. And then besides working on the master plan, I also work on a bunch of other planning grants that we're working on right now. So that's project managing the grants, making sure they're staying on track, making sure their consultant is doing what they're supposed to be doing. And then any other plans that we need to create, we create them in-house. So I'll be working on some of that. I also do reviews for the planning board. So all the reports that consultants get after they submit their plans to the planning board, I prepare those. Testify at the planning board on behalf of the township, and pretty much anything else that's asked.
That's it? So that's all you do?
Yeah.
That's all you do I mean, what do you do? So what do you do with the other 4 hours every day?
Yeah.
So that's a lot going on.
Yes,
all right, so
we have a lot going on.
So Erika, how does one decide that they want to get into township planning? I mean, was this something that you had always wanted to do? Did you, when you were younger, did you plan parties? Did you plan play dates? I mean, what is it that you did that you thought set you up to be a planner?
Well, the interesting part is I didn't even know planning existed until I got into college.
Right.
So I had no clue what planning was until I got into college. And I accidentally discovered it I took it as an elective course, a planning course, when I was actually on my way to completing my psychology degree. So my first degree is actually in psychology, believe it or not. And I decided that I really enjoyed it. So I went back for environmental planning and design. So I have 2 degrees, undergraduate degrees, one in psychology and one in environmental planning and design. And then I went back for my master's and completed them in 2012 in city and regional planning. So
you originally wanted to be a psychologist?
In psychology degree, yeah. It's interesting. Yeah. This is probably why I can deal with you.
Well, I was. Wow, that was very good. That was very proactive because I was considering which way to go with my next one-liner, and instead you cut out my knees right there and went right to yeah. So a funny story. Actually, like probably the first 3 girls I dated all were psychology majors or were in grad school for psychology, and it started to become. I started to personally become. Self-aware of the whole thing, thinking that maybe I was just somebody that they liked to experiment on. Like I was, that there was so many issues to deal with me that was really good practice for them.
That's so funny.
Because once they had kind of unlocked me, we were off. They dumped me. So it's kind of the way that worked. Okay, so there's a lesson there though that says, open your mind. I guess
yes.
from as we talk psychology, open your mind to the fact that as you kind of go through your learning journey, you may kind of be you may kind of be enlightened as to what really piques your interest, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of college students when they first enter college don't know what they want to do, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but my parents always wanted me to be a doctor, so it kind of pushed me into like the whole pre-med route, which is how I entered college, and I didn't really want to do that, you know what I mean? So for me, I guess my mind was open because I didn't really know what I wanted to do.
Right.
So I tested different things. But I really did enjoy psychology. But yeah, planning is just, to me, it encompasses everything that I like. It's creative. You deal with people on a daily basis. So those are the two major things that I like in my life. So I think it was the best suit for me.
Right. And so are your parents in medicine, or is your dad? No, they just thought that you would be. Did you have an aptitude for math? I mean,
did. Yes. Yeah. I'm very good at math, and I've always been really good at science. So I guess they just kind of figured, she's heading the medical route. Let's push her to be a doctor.
That's the way to go.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, when you think about math, I mean, a lot of what you do, from a mathematical mind is kind of important to what you do, right? Day to day, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we use math every day. At least I do. We take out the scales and measure for people and review site plans.
Right.
So you use math every single day, at least in planning. But, it's not, you're not using calculus. But you are using
who does
different...
use calculus? Let's
exactly,
be honest.
please.
Right, yeah. I mean, that's why. This is why I didn't do so well in school.
I took calculus, and I did well in calculus, but you don't use calculus on a regular basis.
The only class I tell people I did really well at in high school even was typing, because I was like, I think I'm pretty much going to use that one. The rest of it is all like that Simon and Garfunkel song Kodachrome, which is all like the crap I learned in high school. Anyway, but I digress. Okay, so now we're in master plan season.
Yes.
Right. So explain to me what the master plan is, aside from like world domination and, taking whatever. Go ahead.
Well, a master plan is supposed to be the long-term vision for the township. So what we do is, I'm sure you've heard, we've been having meetings since May. We've been reserving every meeting, the second meeting of each month, the planning board meeting, I should say, of each month. The planning board meets the first and second Wednesday. So it's the second Wednesday of every month. We've been reserving that for master plan, and we kicked it off with a public hearing just to hear whatever the public wanted to say as to what they think needed to be improved in the township. So we heard testimony about traffic issues, about redevelopment issues, about too much development or too little development, issues regarding recreation. It covers the whole gamut, and we left it open so that people could tell us what they thought were the issues in their areas.
And how many folks do you get at a typical meeting like that want to participate?
We had a pretty good showing at that hearing. The next month in June, we actually had a hearing reserved just for open space and recreation. We didn't have as many people attend that one, but we did at the first hearing instruct people that if they weren't comfortable coming up to the mic and speaking out loud to everybody, that they were more than welcome to send emails. So we've had a lot of email responses as well. And I forgot how many pages, but we have pages of responses that people have sent to us as to what they think needs to be improved in the township.
All right. So when we get back, I'd like to kind of understand what you do with all that data, right? Because, it's one thing to elicit folks' feedback, but I guess the key really is how you incorporate that into what you're doing and how you balance the wants of the masses versus the reality of our situations. So Erika Stahl, Assistant Town Planner, Toms River, back after this.
Get more Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin at our website, WOBMAM.com. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.
Hey, welcome back. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin here with Erika Stahl, Assistant Town Planner, Toms River. Okay, so we got a lot of feedback. You know what they? Who was it? My grandmother always used to say, "Opinions are like tushies. Everybody has one." Right, so you get all these opinions, right? You got all this feedback. You gather it, you put it together, you separate it appropriately, and then what do you do with it?
Well, we separate it by the way I separate it, at least, was by area of the township that it affected, and listed all those comments together. We review those comments and see if there's a general trend as to maybe some people have different solutions to the problem, but maybe there's congestion at this intersection, or different issues like that, to look at whether what their proposed solutions make sense, or whether there's another solution that hasn't been identified. So we'll have our professionals deal with some of those large topic issues as to whether it can be addressed or not, or whether what they're proposing is just 100% unrealistic. So,
Right.
for instance, if somebody's proposing a new road that runs through a wetlands,
Right.
never going to happen.
Right.
So that's thrown out the window. But, the whole general concept that they want a road because it's congested, the whole congestion issue, we may want to still look at from
Sure.
a different aspect, but we're not going to approve a road through a wetlands.
Right. So you put it all together, and then you make now along with that, I would imagine there's some kind of a mechanism in place that between master plans, there's like you're kind of gathering information, taking notes, or if something has been a recurring theme, year over year, and you're seeing like this intersection's a problem, or this this zoning doesn't work. Or we have vacancies here repeatedly, that would be something you would say, let me see, we need to address that in the next master plan. So I assume that's also part of what's what goes into the process.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
So yes, staff input as regarding to issues that are ongoing will also be added.
Right.
But we do have several redevelopment areas in the township already, so those areas don't get rebuilt overnight. It takes
Sure.
a little bit while, it may need environmental cleanup, so that could be holding it up, or and maybe the fact that there is no redevelopment plan that everybody's agreed on to yet. So once the redevelopment plan gets approved, that's when things really start to happen a little bit more, and then once
Right.
finances from the state, maybe the township can open up at that point. But there's 3 areas right now that don't have a redevelopment plan, so we'll be working on that as well.
How has Sandy impacted the master plan?
The township's been very proactive in trying to acquire planning grant studies. So we've received some planning studies to look at the barrier island and to look at the areas along the Barnegat Bay, to look at their existing zoning, to look at Ortley Beach wanted a neighborhood plan to look at the streetscape. So we did that. We looked at the downtown circulation and their proposed redevelopment plan and how that all ties in together. And we actually, believe it or not, our open space and recreation plan element funding also came from a post-Sandy planning grant. So
Okay.
we were proactive in trying to get some funding, and those studies will be incorporated into the master plan, the recommendations that came out of that. So it was money that will assist the creation of the master plan.
Right. And so once we're developed and once it's built, right, like how often are you using it? I mean, is it I think there's a perception that, this is some of these planning documents, and I hate to say this, I shouldn't say this to the planning person, but that some, planning is great, right? We do a lot of planning, right? But at what point do we incorporate the planning?
Well, certain things, we've actually been looking at the old master plan, because part of creating a new master plan is look at what were the issues in 2006 when it was last created and see what was recommended and whether those recommendations have been implemented. So we do have to go back and look to see if anything's been implemented, and if it hasn't been implemented, we have to state why it wasn't implemented.
Gotcha.
Not only that, but the township's going for plan endorsement, which is pretty much an approval by the state that they agree with the planning that's being done in the township, and that will open up some state funding. But it also, our plan endorsement, we have to follow that plan.
Sure. And
that plan has been created and kind of will serve as the backbone of our master plan, because we have to make sure that all our documents are consistent. So in that case, we'll have to make sure that we're consistent with that and that we're following the plan.
Gotcha. So when we come back, I would like to talk about, to me, one of the 2 biggest kind of development areas in Toms River, which is Route 37 and downtown Toms River. Just kind of get your feedback.
Okay.
And then, of course, we'll give you the magic wand so that you can fix those things. Erika Stahl, Assistant Town Planner, Toms River. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. Back after this.
The news never stops at WOBMAM.com. Get the latest from WOBM News, the Town Square, New Jersey News Network, and Fox News Radio. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. News Talk Radio, WOBMAM 1160 and 1310. Live from the Bob Levy Broadcast Center, overlooking the Toms River. It's time to get up, get out, do something. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. Be a part of the show. 732-505-1160. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Listen online at WOBMAM.com.
Hey, welcome back. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. 7:35, Tuesday, August 9th, 66 degrees. Get up to 84 today. WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. News Talk Radio. Streaming live on the Radio Pop app and WOBMAM.com. 732-505-1160 to join the conversation. We're talking to Erika Stahl, Assistant Town Planner here in beautiful, sunny Toms River, New Jersey. So, Erika, let's talk for a second. I know you were talking a little bit. There is work on a possible redevelopment plan for areas of downtown Toms River.
There is a redevelopment area in downtown Toms River. It's located west of Main Street and east of the Garden State Parkway. It includes this block, the block across from us on Main Street, and then everything south of Water Street.
Cool, and it calls for additional housing to a large extent, which would, as we know, if we bring more people downtown, that'll bring more business downtown and more food and maybe more drink. Okay, cool. And then we're talking about we talk about Route 37. And it seems that that's a constant discussion point around, I don't want to say the quality of businesses, but there's definitely not the aesthetic look that I think we would have all chosen if we could have closed our eyes and reimagined Route 37. But a lot of this was kind of precipitated by things that have happened well before anybody in the current regime got there. So why don't you talk a little about that, about what kind of happened in the mid 80s that kind of changed things?
Oh, sure. Well, in the 70s and 80s, Toms River Township grew exponentially. As the township was very small in the 50s and 60s, like 5,000 residents, and then now we're at about 92,000 residents. So that's a huge growth between that time period, and most of that growth occurred in the 70s and 80s. And at that point, believe it or not, we didn't even have a planning zoning department in the township. It was run by the county, and I believe we may add building at that point. I think we had a building department, but we didn't have the staff that we have now at this time. And actually, we didn't even have planners, I think, until a while ago. We used to have consultant planners. And in-house planning we haven't had. Jay was actually our first in-house planner. So
Jay
before then, we used to have consultant planners or the township engineer also serve as planner.
So what happened was we're building, and we're growing, and frankly, it was kind of put things where they could fit. Right, because we were trying to keep up with growth, and things weren't exactly planned and placed where they maybe should have been. And so, for example, Route 37 is the best example because if you look, there's really not a lot of opportunities for there's very, very little ability for people to walk or for bike lanes or anything like that. The lots are very shallow because they butt up against residential, right? So in a perfect world, the first row or two of houses off of Route 37 should be relocated and make nice big wide lots so that you could create real highway businesses. But instead, we're kind of stuck with what we have, which is a kind of a hodgepodge of some deeper lots, spread out, and then a lot of very shallow lots where you can only fit kind of a small mom and pop bungalow type business.
Right.
And so it is kind of what we have. So,
yeah, it is what we have. I mean, it'd be difficult to change that.
It would be difficult, which is a perfect segue, Erika Stahl, into the fact that we are about to hand you your magic wand, your pixie dust, your fairy dust, your ability to make an impact and change the world just by wiggling your nose or by waving your wand. So, Erika, what are you doing?
Doing?
Yeah, what are you doing with the wand? What are you doing?
Well, see, that's the thing with planners is that planners have to. Our responsibility is to listen to what the public wants.
Yeah, okay, so you've heard them. What are you doing?
Oh, gosh. What am I doing? Well, if everything was in ideal conditions and, there were no environmental issues and ideal world, all gone. Ideally, if all the environmental issues were cleaned up, the first thing I would want to do is deal with the Sibagagi property, because one of the biggest complaints we have in our area is that we don't have enough high-paying jobs in this area. So if we could create a center there that would attract higher wage jobs, that's something that I would focus on. But obviously, that there's environmental contamination. There's a lot of issues that have to be addressed before that can happen. But yeah, that would be.
So in your magic wand, you would wave your wand, you would clean up all the environmental issues, the hot spot that exists there.
Make that into high technology incubator park.
Yeah.
Research and development.
Yeah, and of course you would also sprinkle a little pixie dust and silence everybody that says we could never build on what used to be contaminated land, because we know that's a whole separate
believe it or not, a large chunk of the Sibagagi property was never contaminated.
Right, most of it.
It is,
most of it.
Large part of it was never contaminated. Right. It's actually clean soil,
right.
wooded.
Yeah.
So there is a large chunk that could be developed now.
Right.
But we want to develop it as one whole site, so they don't just siphon off the good parts and then leave the rest.
And the other part, we could just turn into like a glow-in-the-dark park. Anyway, Erika Stahl, Assistant Town Planner, Township of Toms River, thank you so much for spending some time with us early in the morning.
Yes, early in the morning.
Oh, cool. All right. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. Back after this.
Stay tuned for Preferred Company with Joel Markell and Marianne Levy at 8. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin continues next. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.